So we will see you guys on the other side. Welcome to our first games of the day. It's Sam and Alex here, brothers.
Pleasure to
You may
No,
have
really?
another
I
reason.
just thought
but
you
we're
were
here doing
existing in my life for a
fan
reason.
broadcast of the LPL on the Monday here as well between LGD and Top Esports. First game of the day between them. Top Esports have had a couple of knocks recently, but they are still at a 6-2 record. LGD, we'd love to say they're better than their records suggest, and they have had some great results through particularly High Chow and Shaya, but they are struggling right now, and we get ourselves through to the first pick. I'd imagine maybe an Azir might be looked at. We are on 14.4 though, worth noting.
It's going to be a jungle pick. The Graves hover was exciting me for a second there, because of course Meteor back in the day was a big enjoyer of that champion. Instead it'll be towards the Vi. Could maybe look towards something like a Hui a little bit later on. That has been a pretty constant pairing right now with the Vi because of your ability to follow up however deep she goes with your very, very long range abilities. Response now? Debating something like a Nautilus. Of course, we are now on 14-4, so some of the priorities and champions have begun to shift around a little bit. That Nautilus will get locked in. Maybe looking for a jungle hero or possibly a bot laner to finish up that duo. The Hui take away from the side of LGD might make some sense as well.
Okay, so in terms of the bot laners, in terms of what you were saying, in terms of trying to combo up with this Nautilus that's been locked in, the Varus is the big one, and that is the one which they go towards. As yes, Cream has been playing a lot of Hui, and they do hover it over, but they're not willing to lock that in just now. On the other side, we're getting ourselves, we are kind of moving away from a lot of our kind of range support meta, and it means that when we have like the Nautilus and the Rakan coming back, the game changes an awful lot. And now we see the Vitalier on the other side, hovering over potentially a couple of picks which can survive that combo. This Ahri would be okay in terms of surviving the combo, but the other pick, that Hui, which is being hovered over right now, be very vulnerable to Meteor and High Chow.
Could well be. They look towards the Hui regardless, and it does now mean your ability to play with this double kind of artillery piece backlane between a Varus and a Hui. The range of those two champions pretty extreme. Feels pretty good, but you could use some ways to try and defend from what is now a triple dive and bluntly triple roam threat that Rakan, Talia, Vi all have the ability to kind of turn up out of nowhere.
So for those of you who have not caught this week's LPL game, Smolder has been enabled from the last week, and because we're on 14.4, and that means that we do have that champion available. In fact, OMG took a game off of JDG by playing this pick, so it's kind of coming through into our LPL champion pool. Now we get ourselves through to second round of bans. There's going to be a couple of AD carries taken away from Shaya, who has had some great moments, but against a Varus Nautilus, when you're not going to have a couple of choice AD carries, I'd imagine the Zaya's even going to get banned away here too, potentially. You're going to have a rough time.
Yes, I think that's pretty fair as far as an assessment goes. Towards the other side for LGD, they're trying to get rid of what looks to be a few of these quite aggressive potential top jungle flexes. That Poppy out of the way could go to 369, could go to Tian, because I feel like Tian might be the one who's more likely to pick that up with the way the draft is progressing. But the way the Udyr ban on the other side suggests to me maybe something like a Cassante is being considered here for 369 as this fourth pick for all the nerfs that champion has received. Still pretty good, and 369 is a very strong proponent of the champion. Instead, it'll still be the Aatrox.
The Aatrox is a takeaway from Birdall as well. Now, LGD have had a couple of really difficult games. I think that Birdall on the Aatrox has been one of the really bright points for this, though. And, you know, funnily enough, Poppy's been one of the other champions I've liked from him. That's been banned away by their own team. So, I'm now quite intrigued to see what he can have to have the same kind of teamfight impact. Now, this pick, this goddamn electric rat on the bot side, and no, it's not Kennen, has been coming back briefly into meta, and now we have that Zeri Rakan locked in by LGD, and Top Esports versus their bot lane has some laning dominance over it, but once you hit two items, that Zeri could do some real damage in this game.
Zeri, despite only being a year or so old, is Xiaoyi's second most played champion. I think it might be the champion he's got with the highest average win rate as well. I think he's something like 68% win rate despite a very contested LDL, despite not always being on the strongest team. Xiaoyi was always a massive Zeri enjoyer.
Ooh. So we were just talking about how Birdall had some really good teamfight impact on the Aatrox, and he's had some good moments. He has got up against 369, the best performing top laner in the entirety of the LPL right now. Says, right, skill matchup, Jace locked into the top lane. I think it's only the third Jace we've seen in the LPL proper. Ala tried to play this on EDG, and that they won, but it wasn't a great Jace game. Tien finishes off this draft with the Viego as well, which has been really coming back and forth in the LPL. What that means now is that if you have top esports coming through with a big pick, that Viego only needs to get 1 kill for a reset to come through, and the game could just fall apart. So top esports, I think they walk away with an easier to play draft 100%. I think that Birdall on the other side and the Jace top lane matchup will need to be shielded, and it really feels like it's going to be a hard game for LGD to not give up that first kill that could snowball.
And I do want to highlight as well, Birdall, when he first started playing professional, he was supposed to be the new LCK gold top lane. He was supposed to be in a similar kind of position to someone like a Zeus who was coming up, this Irelia player who was such monster mechanically, but when it came to his time in the LCK, now over to the LPL, has struggled to find that consistency, struggled to find those kind of carry angles in the way I think he was destined in some ways to be playing, and that consistency has always hurt him. He was always kind of being flexed in and out of rosters as something of a substitute role back when he was over in the LCK. Now over in the LPL, he picks up the Jace, this buffed Jace in 14 for the goal. A lot of those base stats and the rest of it. I think the Lightning Field as well got some good touches to it as well. So you're feeling better about playing Jace in this patch, but all the same, Birdall, to take it to 369, to take it to him on the Jace, it's a bold call to see whether it plays out, Cotton.
It's a bold call, Cotton. I'll see if it works out. 369, no stranger as the champion either. 369 has really gone back to his carry ways. This top lane matchup, thinking about it, is one which I'm now very, very excited to see that play out. Waiting to get onto the Rift for our first game of the day. Top esports, they need to recover a little bit of form, I have to say. This is a team which I thought at the start of things was looking like a top 2, top 3 team. They've had a couple of stumbles. Lost to FPX, a team which is kind of a rising star, a rising dragon within the LPL. And I guess that you can say that there's no shame in that now, but top esports are a top team which need to be playing as such, and they want to be recovering from that and keep themselves up at the top of the table.
Especially because the opening weeks, they were right in the conversation as arguably that kind of top 3 in the league, alongside the likes of the Billies of the world, and JDG, of course, as well. And now top TES, just kind of maybe not as consistent as they have been hoping. Those kind of last couple knocks haven't been as exactly what they wanted. It's not the atmosphere they've cultivated over all these years.
Yeah, whereas LGD, on the other side, I mean, they're one of our technically most successful LPL orgs in history too, but they're kind of like behind some of the front runners of, you know, your RNGs, EDGs, IGs, and now, of course, JDG's up there too.
A lot of Gs.
A lot of Gs, yeah. But LGD, of course, they're multiple-time champions too, from 2015 and 2020.
Oh,
Hooklands at level 1. Guardian is, of course, procced, and we have ourselves a bit of freeze in the stream. As it refreshes, we get to see it again.
There we go. One more time, everybody, for your edification. A little skip forward, so who knows what happened
Alright, okay. So this is going to be something we're going to have to deal with, folks. So this is just the dealings of trying to do a co-stream cast, as it looks like Huya's giving us a little bit of troubles. If it does it again, we might switch back over to Billy and see what happens. Another hook lands.
Mako has just been on fire, has not missed with those dredge lines. He is trawling for gold out in the open ocean of this bot lane, and Jinzhao is the one who is suffering for it. The flash down, and a lot of the HP gone as well.
So the first time that happens, you have the Guardian and the Gleaming Quill Shield as well. As another arrow stops the recall, importantly. Even if it hit, I don't think it ends up killing, so you've only got the rank 1 of the arrow. But yeah, particularly when you're looking at that first hook that you tank, you have enough shields to deal with it. The second one, that's where the problems come in.
And I remember talking to you kind of earlier in the split, before the split as well, going, Mako is probably the best support that Jackie Love has played with. At least the most consistent, the most well-rounded. This guy has been so good for so long. Of course, last year was kind of having some questions thrown on his good name. Wasn't playing the best League of Legends of his life. I think that's fair to say. But he's come on to TES. He's come on to top esports. He's been so good consistently. This bot lane has been one of the best. I think it's fair to say someone like the Elks and the Ons of the world have probably been a little bit better, but they have certainly been.
Ruler and missing.
Yeah, exactly. But they're still in the upper echelon, right? And I think that is exciting to see if you're a TES.
I would say, conservatively, Jackie Love and Mako are minimum top 4. I would say they're maybe even the 3rd best. They could even push beyond that. And you can see that Tien has walked down. He has this Viego who would love to get some extra gold on himself, but there's no angle to go towards his bot lane dive as the wave is cleared out. And we go back on our merry way. Meteor will get himself top scuttle and that top grump as well, and he'll be keeping even with Tien. We can maybe check him with a top lane matchup as well, as he's on the top side of that map too. See an early back from 369 for a cloth armor to just try and get a little bit of that poke away from Bertel. Has gone for the phase rush, which means that he can go for heavy trades, and even if he's hit with the infernal chains at that point, he can run out of it, which is important because the slow from the chains is often what ends up pulling you back into it. So we'll have to see how he uses that. Important though, so he sees just that, procs the phase rush and runs away, is how he can keep this up in terms of poke. Right now, he hasn't got his first reset. His first back of the game, if he comes back with someone like a Dirk, is going to be very powerful.
It often is the way of Jaces these days, of course. It was really sad when Eclipse lost the stats it did last year. He was one of the best abusers of that and has to kind of consider how he plays a little differently these days as we're just fiddling around with the quality there briefly to get ourselves up to some of these high pretty moments. And jump on forwards again there with the to the skies from Birdle. As it stands, a relatively standard laning phase early on in the top lane, but Tien here might be looking to add a little bit of spice to the mix.
Tien trying to visit every lane that he can. Bertel might be able to jump in, but he misses the memo. He doesn't see Tien. Tien's not going to flash in, but flash for flash topside. That always favors the non-Jace lane. Jace without flash is not a safe champion, so Tien, though he hasn't managed to find any advantages for himself directly, that is a big thing which he can return to visit.
Yeah, now back towards the mid lane they go. Grubs have just spawned. Will be spotted out over here, but it looks like it might be an angle instead for mid lane for Meteor to try and get something back onto Cream, who does not get hit by the seismic shove, but is still being forced to run away on some unstable currents, and I think he'll be able to get out safely for now.
This is one of the matchups which I was a little afraid for, is Tien potentially spoiling for a fight, as he just makes sure that Meteor can't get him range for his smite steal. He doesn't have his smite now, does Tien. Bertel walking down. Ooh, this could be steal.
Well, the Q goes wide. That means there's no Vault Break available. Seismic Shove also, therefore, does not land. And Tien does have to flash, but gets away with his life.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, now you look at the early game checklist from top esports. So you managed to secure bot lane pressure. You've gotten a flash out of top lane. You lose a flash, but you do get the grubs as well. Now, if they get the full house of the dragon as well, they'll be very happy with how this early game has worked out. And LGD, they're really now trying to wait for Vi to just get that one more level, get to level 6, and see if you can combo up with the Vi, Talir, or the Vi and the Jace.
Would be a very full house. I'm not sure how many rooms you'd need for all the grubs and a dragon.
That's a good point. Do you need like a barn for them? Do you need like would you have a grub ranch?
Dragon rearing. I would watch a series about like farming mythical creatures, like here you just go well, guess it's time to scrub the dead scales off the dragon today.
So that was the really big movie of How to Train Your Dragon, right? Yeah. But that was based off of a series of books which were more actually about the dragon raising than like the action and the combat and the dramas. Mako, this is actually a bit more dramatic, I think, as we're talking about various different moves and books. Mako just about survives. Luckily, he doesn't have to blow the flash. That's a big thing for him. And we are going to get ourselves that full house. There is no contest coming towards this bot side. It's going to be Tien walking back onto the map. Jungler with a Doran's Blade for the early fighting stats, which means that he's really trying to index into this early game. Getting out onto the map. And Tien, it has been something which has happened with him this year, is that when he's been pinned back, he'll still go for these plays, and sometimes top esports have been punished for that. But when he has been unleashed on the map, he has been so good. He's been returning back to some of those form moments of old.
Righty then. We take a breather briefly, as actually not been super high, but there have been a couple key moments to keep track of. As we said, it's mostly been the objective early game check mark from top esports that has been the prime kind of angle of this game so far. But kind of half items beginning to get completed. We're seeing the Kershi shards and the rest coming on through. The Dirk in for the Varus always feels really good. Not in for the Jace. Actually gone towards the Caulfield's Warhammer for a little bit more ability haste.
Well, it means he's going towards the Muramana very early. Sometimes, so this has been the Mirwin build from EU. He's gone towards the Profane Hydra first, which a lot of top lane Jaces have followed suit with as well, just because that's really good stats. When you complete that item, it's a very, very strong bump of stats. And now he's going to be going towards the more poke build, though, instead of the more bruiser all-in.
Trying to play that one out as best they can, of course, but they're still got to complete that and get the tier all stacked up. Of course, Jace, generally speaking, much like Varus, stacks it up a lot faster once the Muramana is completed, because he just likes to spam those abilities. Tien, though, is towards his top side, but so is Meteor, so we might be looking an unannounced 2v2. Still unspotted as Tien. Oh, Meteor's leaving.
He's leaving, but Jace has... he's got a next wave coming out. You can see that Tien is maybe potentially walking up. We need to go back towards top lane observers. We need to go back to this. Tien is currently in this bush. And again, if you shut the Jace down, huge victory for his team.
Ruin King without a kingdom, looking to be a bit of a guerrilla fighter in the top side. Birdo tries to find a way out by going forwards, but all that does is mean he goes down valiantly. First blood to TN's Viego.
So he's just trying to look to get the phase rush, but he still gets hit by everything. And it's sadly not going to be something which he can make his way out of, as we're just going to get ourselves a little bit of a tap again, just to see if we can get something down on this quality front. But still, Jace dying, for me, every Jace lane, every Jace death in lane feels like double. It feels like double, because it's such an important moment for him to be ahead in the laning phase. So that death there, that's a good victory there for TN.
Look at it again, and Birdle just did not know TN had managed to sneak into the bush. He'd been there now for 30-odd seconds, and they just, I mean, it's easy as you like at that point.
He activates the phase rush, but he just doesn't manage to get himself out of the CC. 369, his lane has been set up for success now. He's been able to get ahead in CS even. And you can see that he's even taken a turret plate towards that top side, and with the 3 grubs, he can very much help with that. So, 369, he's got himself to his Tiamat spike as well, and once he gets to that Profane, so not misses on the bot side, that top lane matchup might not go the way that LGD's top laner with the counter pick would have liked.
Absolutely not. Of course, this isn't the Jace of old where if you fail the lane, it all goes wrong forever. You do scale pretty well. I remember I think you still can get that break point where you hit 2 shock blasts through 2 accelerated shock blasts through 1 gate, which does happen in the late game on Jace, which is just absolutely obscene. I'm pretty sure you still hit those break
you
points.
need to get about, I'm trying to remember if it's 120 or 130 ability haste to make that happen. I don't know whether you can get that much anymore.
It was so dumb.
It was really, really something incredible, actually, because I remember I was watching back to the Season 5 Earthitational kind of video from Season 5 or whenever it was, and that was when the North American kind of players, they did like a show match for it, and Sneaky of Cloud980 Carry Flame, he played a Jace, and he won, and then, because it was the old Cloud9 versus TSM matchup which played the matchup.
Fun.
And Sneaky said, yeah, turns out that when you can get two accelerated shock blasts through 1 gate, it's really broken. That was on Earth. Yep. And now we get that in regular League of Legends. That is how much the power creep has happened in our game over the last, 9 years since then.
I mean, for those who want a prime example of this, just go watch Zeus' game on the Jace in the World Finals last year. He hit 14 shock blasts, I believe, in a row, partly because he just had so many to throw out through like accelerated gates. Really, really silly. Jaculov throwing out now. And that's kind of the end of that for now. It has been a relatively slow game, all things said and done, but it really does feel like it is top esports have been the ones that have largely been getting the better of the early objectives. They were the ones with the first blood.
Well, not even largely. Well, I mean, largely, it's been pretty much everything. So you can see flat Birdle saving his flash, very important for him. Jace without a flash doesn't really get to play the game. Luckily survives there without having to get it.
Call it out a little bit as well. Meteor, on the other hand, really not managed to get much done on the Vias either. Not really managed to counter gank particularly. Left early on the other side as Shaya is taken to about half HP by Varus doing Varus things. But it feels like Tien, for all that the kill scores isn't particularly high, has managed to blow a lot of flashes, cause a lot of strife for Birdol. And that has been pretty difficult. In fact, apparently speak of the devil and he will appear. That's a bit rude to Tien, who is devilish only in his fabulous photo there. But all the same, it's been a relatively solid game, I think, from TN on the Viego, getting quite a lot done despite the lack of stats on screen.
Ooh, great flash from Jaculov, actually. That was very good reaction flash from Meteor as while we were talking about TN, the other jungler was hovering around bot side. Meteor, now the thing is with the Vi is that you do need a couple of levels under your belt to do something. Now he does have those levels, he does have first item as well in the Sundered Sky. I think TN is actually going towards a similar item first time through as well, as neither team has a true tank. I think that the junglers are feeling right, got to get ourselves to a point where we're kind of half tanky. I mean, Vi always does, but 369, wow, that's a lot of damage.
Ooh, the phase rush comes on through, but Birdol without a teleport, and of course 369 having just got the teleport and therefore having the distinct item advantage, does a lot of work, and that might cost a lot of trouble for this tower. I think 369 about to pick up a number of plates there.
And it's a problem. He doesn't have the lethality built up to have extra damage to towers just yet, but he'll be able to clear in that wave. And I think with the wave cleared, and of course the plate and assist picked up earlier, he'll be able to get himself to that Profane Hydra on the next back. And that's when Birdle is really going to start feeling the hurt.
Oh, 369. I thought he was going to keep going beyond the wave and being really obnoxious, but it was a no just for the ward. I saw the movement.
So the thing is, the reason he's acting like this is because he knows there is still this level 6 Vi, post level 6 Vi walking around, and he needs to be careful of it. The problem is he hasn't been careful enough.
You called it out, and immediately 369 about to be taken down. They were hoping to donate a little bit of something to Birdall, but he'll just have to deal with the assist. Loses a plate, of course, but 369 a little over-eager there in shoving for his advantage.
So you drop that ward down just to see if is coming through your lane, but as soon as that... Oh, fight on jungle.
Okay, Grand Entrance doesn't really work out for Junjiao, and now Tian just gets to back away, and Cream does get at least something back for Haichao's roam by claiming that plate in mid lane. Can't quite get the second though, which is a bit frustrating.
Yes, and once again, we're going to just retap onto that. Birdall has himself a flash. He's going to have to blow it again. Hides behind the minion. Ult comes through. Might just die all the same.
Doesn't make a difference. Poor old Birdall. How many ganks has this been? This Jace has been left out to dry. And they finally turn up in force to LGD to clear off 369. But he just can't get anything back. I say that and immediately goes to the skies and nearly gets something back on Tien. I was wondering there for a second whether a Thundering Smash might be enough to claim the additional life there.
I think Tien didn't want to blow the flash, didn't want to blow that ultimate particularly either if he didn't have to. Very nearly gets him killed, but that is fine. So we have Herald started up on the top side as a bot lane reset comes through, which means that Shaya at least gets himself to just free farm. He's cashed in a cull at this point. Hasn't really been a game about the bot lanes just yet, and that means that Jinzhao and Meiko, we can see what happens with them as they have started roaming across the map. And now as Cream and Meiko now go towards the bot side, it looks like this is good lane assignment, actually. Just saying, okay, right, we've got this really good turnaround potential from Hui if someone dives onto them at level 11. With the extra levels and the extra wave clear in pocket, you can't dive me.
The fact that the Zeri has managed to get to that first item we've kind of been noting about. We've seen the cull kind of come through as well. The free ass boots are in there. There's been a lot of economy picks for LGD in this early game, and they are behind 1,000 odd gold, and most of that is basically Birdall being attacked about 30 times in the space of this first 15 minutes. In fact, he's only died a couple times by everyone turning up. Feels bad, of course, for the Jace, but it hasn't been the end of the world yet. LGD haven't lost the game yet. They're just a little behind.
Except on the other side, you know, the Jace being behind is one thing. Aatrox being ahead is another. Because he's got to himself to his Profane Hydra right now. He is very, very strong. And that means that the next time he teleports, if it is a teleport, into a good angle to get a tap onto Haichao or Birdall, the fight could just be over. That's how much damage the champion does. Especially with the ability to kind of throw out the Varus ult and the Hui ults as well to just kind of finish off a kill from long range and unlock those resets.
Crushing Wall comes on through. Meiko can't quite land the follow-up there. I think you've made a very valid point there about the potential threat. 369 always a notoriously good kind of flanking additional threat, was part of what made him so deadly over on JDG last year. Why JDG in some ways have been not the same absolute dominance that they had last year, was just the lack of that 369 factor, the unknown flanking coming on through, not from behind a mirror but from a teleport. And you know, maybe he can't get up on the Hydra's back, but he can certainly find people's backs to attack with that Profane Hydra.
Is that a Kingdom Hearts Hydra boss fight reference?
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, let's see if I can... Oh, no.
There's a fight to talk about my silly references. Perhaps I was helping.
This is really fun, just to kind of check in on what's happened here on the bot side. You can see that Cream is currently playing in bot side instead of Jackulov. Now, if the Varus is here trying to wave clear, I think they can dive in. Because it's the way, I don't think they can, because of the extra wave clear he has and the extra weight levels he has as well. So I think that's quite intelligent of Top Esports. They managed to save themselves while Meteor is looking for that first Vi play of the game. Really, it hasn't really managed to get a huge power play. He got that one kind of participation on towards top side onto 369 as he died, but LGD would have loved to use this Vitalier combo to accelerate the game around this point. Before then, you get towards Cream, getting towards that Seraphs, which we're just about to complete, before we get this kind of objective setup with the double poke composition of Top Esports coming online.
Exactly that opportunity completed for Jackulov. The Seraphs kind of coming on through for the Haichao, and we're seeing the shove into mid lane now from Top Esports, who are taking this moment to try and leverage their lead. They are the ones, as we've kind of been noting, who've largely had first move on the map. They claiming that mid lane tier 1 feels pretty good for them, especially with Dragon about to spawn in 14 odd seconds. That could be a moment for them to try and use this pressure.
So the Herald's not going to be used to charge into the inner turret because it'd be too dangerous to stick around to see what happens with that. The Herald is actually going to be used to rotate over towards Dragon instead. It's a quick rotation there. How far is he going to go with it? Yeah, you need to hit a wall to dismount from it. And he's like, okay, let's just wall slam it here. So they use it to retreat.
Technique. Like, how do I get out of the taxi, slam into something?
That's the crazy taxi technique. Do you remember that game?
Of course.
Yeah,
I
that
do.
was a fun time. I think they remade that at some point. Anyway, we've got ourselves a dragon fight potentially coming up as the stream helpfully knows, hey, internet, be nice. Top Esports, they have themselves double poke. I think LGD, they need to find a very quick engage, otherwise this is not going to go well for them.
There's not, and the camera zooms out to survey the battlefield. 369 off vision now spotted. The hook comes on through. Big amount of damage onto the Rakan, who for once just doesn't have time to use his many escape abilities. Meteor comes crashing down to earth to boot. And Top Esports just run over the fight. It's very easy for him.
So LGD, they try and look for a play right down the front and center, and it works out very, very poorly. Hai Chao's caught on underneath this bot lane outer turret as Tien uses his reset ultimate to get over that wall, but it won't lead to a further play. And you know what, Sam? I'm going to call it. I'm going to say, all right, Huya, you've done us dirty enough. Let's go find ourselves a Billy stream instead and get ourselves, hopefully.
It's who know, not who you are today.
And we'll see ourselves whether we can get that one as
like
well.
the stream.
Oh gosh, Sam needs himself some, maybe some hydration himself, and we'll get ourselves.
And that was the problem, is I hydrated and it went down the wrong pipe, as we're going to look at this replay.
Now we do. So, getting ourselves into the back end of this dragon fight, we can just see it's really hard to deal with this kind of pronged spears all matched up together from Top Esports and their deadly team composition. If you engage straight into the middle of them, there's a lot of extra damage if you don't reach those carries. So LGD, sadly for them, they don't have the breakpoints to kill the front line, they don't have the health to survive the resets, and they can't reach the back line. Looking pretty bad for them all in all. And Top Esports, it's been a very confident game one for them. They have needed a confident game one. I think after a couple of their recent games, even though they've walked away with mainly series wins, they have had a couple of worries put against them. Confident games like this, they help a little bit.
They do. And I think as well, for LGD now, they are not completely lost in this game. They've still got decent scaling to work with. They can get to 2 items, 3 even preferably. They've still got ways to play it back in this game. But that's easier said than done, because Top Esports are the ones with so much control of the map who felt like they haven't really been forced to sweat much at all this game yet. Most of the plays they've done have worked out. They're up a couple thousand gold. They've got a couple dragons. They've gotten 3. They've traded grubs, yes, but they are in a very good position in this game. And they are now realistically being able to corral Meteor and the rest of LGD into some difficult spaces. The Rakan dies immediately. Meteor tries to go in at the back end of it all, but the cease and desist just becomes a deceased lawman in the form of Vi being in an early grave.
Deceased and assisted. I don't know. It sounds something like that. Anyway, Tien gets himself another reset. Cream uses his ultimate to force Xayah back too. Without the jungler there, without the smite, without their engage, there is nothing that LGD can do now. It is a very early Baron. Top Esports, they starve out vision. They force LGD to come into them, and they win the fight. Top Esports, very confident macro play to start really looking towards the death of this game. Getting a Baron like this so cleanly, they're going to have to run over the rest of the map roughshod.
Oh, yes, and that's basically what you do with just 2 turrets done. But they're really important ones. The mid and the top lane turret gone means the blue side jungle just, you lose control of it, and Top Esports punish and capitalize appropriately.
They starve out vision control, and as we were talking about some of the other important things of the game, actually a very important thing was happening here. The Baron had spawned, the vision is already gone, and it feels like LGD, they just weren't prepared for Top Esports to just immediately snap engage.
No, they were not, and they immediately get done in, and that's kind of a couple times before Zhao who's been on the Rakan, something that nominally, even if you get hooked briefly, you should have enough ability to escape before you get blown up. That's not happened this game. He has been caught a couple key moments. Meteor on the other side, on this Vi, really struggling to go in and stay safe because the dive partner's just not there right now.
I think that it's worth noting that in previous patches, Nautilus has been somewhat of a Rakan counter, because you can lock him up for long enough for someone else to tag in on the CC combo. Especially when you've got 2 items with the Kraken Slayer involved, with Tien's Viego as well, who's been doing very well on this pick. That's something important to note. As this is all happening, we've got the Baron push starting up in earnest. As we now have 369 shuffling away from bot side. Bird Ultra goes in, but immediately has to blow the flash. Tien caught briefly, but he gets out safe.
And doesn't have to flash because he has, of course, got the Heartbreaker, and that causes some heartbreak for LGD, who are really hoping for that shutdown. I'm not going to lie to you all. And we look at this top bot lane tier 2 as LGD are standing around, but have to sit so far back from the wave, and that means that Cream and Jackie Love can just throw out artillery barrage after artillery barrage. They are playing DDR, it's Helldivers all over again, because the 380mm orbital barrage is coming down with some very nice effects.
Just running away from the bile spitters, just hammering the reinforce, bring us something, give us a resupply, anything please. But the Super Destroyers left low orbit, and Top Esports, they're the ones who are really on the ascendancy right now.
Nest destroyed.
It's great. I love this. Tien scored again, though. He doesn't have Heartbreaker this time. Has a flash, though, and that'll be enough. So 2 attempted picks on Tien in a row, and they don't end up working out for them. Top Esports, they still have the Baron buff for a minute, ulting Xiaoye.
Depth charge comes on through, and it is enough force to bring down the lightning bot laner. Zeri has nothing to say. First death this game, but it's just not impacted in any way, shape, or form. Inhibitor falls, and Top Esports looks like they're going to be rolling over this game without much in response from LGD. They've not even really attempted a solid counterpunch.
I really want to praise how well Jack11 and Mako have been playing this game. Mako, we already talked about this, coming into this year, this is a player that after Asian Games and after his summer performance on EDG as well, there was even worries about whether he'd retire. It was that bad. He's been playing since 2014. This is his 10th year of professional play. He has been doing some fantastic work over that time, and he's managed to refine some of that form again. This guy's been doing some really good work, and we can see here, the team walks up, just immediately pulls the trigger and just says, okay, you're out of position. Mako has the game sense to say that we have enough members. Xiaoye shouldn't have been there either way.
Yeah.
So as much as we're praising one side of it, what the heck are you doing there, Xiaoye? Just give the turret, no point in dying. Now we get ourselves back onto the map as Mako's once again tip of the spear, or in this case the anchor, looking to force the engage.
Xiaoye, potentially in dangerous position. Remember, doesn't have the cleanse or the flash, and Tien coming over should immediately sound alarm bells for Top Esport, or for LGD fans rather. And they will back away, and instead we're waiting 2.5 minutes until what will be a Baron spawn. There's still another 4 odd minutes for the Dragon, which would be sole point for TES. LGD might get a chance to breathe and stabilize and try and get another item completion, because it feels like the next major objective that goes over will sound the end of the game if it goes Top Esports' way.
So LGD, they have a brief reprieve right now. There's 4 minutes until Sol comes up. Xiaoye's under another turret, but he can hop over a wall this time. Top Esports, they might be able to break this one tower. It might even be a little bit close. No, it won't be. They have but they have lethality and they have grub bust, but this is the big engage. Meteor going for an ult.
Jack A-Love, nowhere really to go, gets knocked back first kill, and it goes, of course, to the Zeri, who ends up with a spiraling despair on top of her, but it's not going to undo the elation of finally securing a second kill after what feels about 20 minutes.
So, the thing is, with Vi against Spell Shield champions, is you fly towards them with your ult, and you smite them mid-flight. So Jaculov loses his Edge of Night and can't survive that ultimate engage. LGD pulling off a clean combo, and it's a much-needed one. They finally get a kill, a second one in this game after that first kill onto 369 on top side. Jinjiao's running around pretty heavily in this top side, but Tien and Cream are here, which means that this play will fizzle out, and LGD are left waiting again. And while all of this is happening, I really want to highlight something. Now, Top Esports, they're not likely to break any more turrets now. They were quite lucky to get their mid lane in one, actually. But they're getting jungle camps, and they're pushing in vision across the board, which means LGD are still bleeding out gold. Here we see the smite into the Viol combo, into the Slayer. First time we've really seen this combo pulled off the entire game. I guess it's better late than never, but it's still very late. And all it does is delay what feels like the inevitable now with Top Esports and the map chokehold they've got in place.
All that delicious shutdown gold, though, did go to Xiaoye on the Zeri, so if you were hoping for that miracle turnaround from LGD, who have certainly been able to pick up game wins here and there, I mean, they're 9-15 overall, certainly a lot better than the 2-7 record that it shows in terms of the series wins. Maybe that's what's required. Xiaoye, this kind of rookie coming on up from the LDL, a big Zeri performer himself down there, given a bit more gold, got 2.5 items, so you can get that third complete. Unlikely, realistically, before what will have to be a Baron contest. Maybe you can start turning this one around, but that is a narrow win condition. At least there's something there.
Do you think, if you build up 3 different sword items, they should just, like, troll you and just make it into a Triforce anyway? Because it's 3 different swords. I'm just looking at 369's items, I'm like, if he buys another sword, I'm watching you, buddy.
I think it breaks if you hit a Hobgoblin too hard. Bokoblin, or if it's called too hard. I forget the name of the Zelda references.
I have to say, I didn't play that much Breath of the Wild. I loaded it up and I'm like, I don't want to keep collecting weapons. That feels like a real pain in the ass. I hear it's a great game and a fantastic sandbox, but I sat there and I'm like, oh no, I'm that guy that doesn't want weapon, like, breaking. I'm that guy that doesn't.
You get to that point in the game.
I'm like, look, I'm no longer in my teens. I need my games to be convenient for me. Back in my, well, I say the games were not convenient back in the day. There were no helpful tips, and LGD, they don't have themselves a tutorial to get out of this game either.
Mako does it again!
Good hook. Great hook.
Oh, every dredge line this game has spelled disaster for LGD, it feels like. The spiraling despair comes on through, and maybe I should have just said despair instead of disaster, because that's what it's been to. Baron goes down very quickly, and Top Esports just pull the same play from earlier.
Meteor just queued over the wall.
Boy.
He's going to have to flash backwards. He has a queue backup now, but Mako is flashing.
Oh, Xiaoyu gets over the wall with the Spark Surge, but Meteor again comes crashing down to earth. The flash will not get him far enough away. And it feels like he's back up in orbit. Nowhere really to affect this game. Haichao trying to run away as Birdall desperately running away. This poor Jace. I don't even think that Birdall has played individually that poorly. His mechanics have been fine. The issue has been the fact the team players left him out to dry in multiple 1vx scenarios. Haichao escapes with a Weaver's Wall, but that puts him a long, long way away from what would be the Dragon Pit, and it is going to be Top Esports sticking around. They decide they're going to take this opportunity to reset and get out on the map with all the gold to their names.
He manages to escape and go on a wonderful journey on the it's not quite a yellow brick road. Imagine if they had a Wizard of Oz Talir skin for the yellow brick road instead of the old. That'd be really fun. Thing is though, they ain't in Shanghai anymore, as that's where the game's being played today. Second series will be in Xi'an. It'll be a long way away from this massacre. It'll be a bit of a moment of silence really for LGD in their attempt to try and focus on this Baron. It's been very hard as soon as Top Esports have achieved vision control, because you can't afford to give over even one kill to TN's Viego. It will be an absolute destruction if one kill goes over. They lose themselves their second inhibitor turret of the game pretty much after this. The tower will be going down to the cannon if nothing else. Going to flood up towards that top side as well. Likely going to be a full base breaking. And LGD, I don't think they've got the wave clear to really deal with all of those super minions.
No, it doesn't feel like it. There's even a Medjai's in inventory for Cream. They know exactly how confident they're feeling and how bluntly unlikely it is for LGD to be able to pull off a combo that gets onto someone valuable. Cream speeds the minions up forward, throws down a temporary river, and then will rotate over towards this bot lane inhibitor. 2 down. Only that final inhibitor turret and inhibitor sort of standing in that top lane. Xiaoyu doing their very best to throw out some burst fire to clear out the minions, but the Zeri has realistically not had an opportunity to stay in a fight for any longer than 5 seconds or so as Meteor gets it with a spiraling despair, but will Vault Breaker away. Final inhibitor falls, and this will be it. The hook lands again. Rakan gets into the backside, but it's too little, and it will be too late as Cream, staying alive, does so much damage. Birdall gets Jackie Love, but that is literally all there is to write home about for LGT. The Grand Entrance keeps him safe briefly on the side of Jinzhao before a Heartbreaker brings down the lover boy. Xayah will be mourning the loss of her boyfriend.
God, that's really morbid.
I'm sorry, you name an ultimate Heartbreaker and it hits Rakan. The stories write themselves.
It does, and this one seems like it's reaching towards the end as LGD are looking down and seeing what they can achieve. Just with the 2 members left alive, they've got no inhibitors left standing, but it looks like Top Esports, they don't feel confident ending the game. I'm a little surprised at that. There's no flash on Birdall. Mako with 1 hook potentially could have done something. Maybe Haichao being there as well could have been a little bit too threatening. There's still 2 quite high damage members left, and there's no tanks left in this game. That's part of the reason why this game's been going fast, and part of the reason why I don't particularly like seeing K'Sante versus Udyr is that if you start looking for these big engages with K'Sante and Udyr in the game, someone holds the door shut and stops you running forward and getting the big damage down. As you can see here, it's not really about that. It is really just about trying to hit those skill shots and those combos. No one can really stop you going forward aggressively, but you have to execute well. And Top Esports, real credit to them, they have executed well. LGD, they're going to be really smarting after this one. I think that particularly this top lane, Jace was dealt with very handily, and I think they'll now be having to think about, well, what do we give to Birdall? Is he just going to be an Aatrox one trick now? What do we do with that? Maker misses a hook, but this is some dangerous stuff here in the rest of the series for LGD, because it feels like Top Esports have never really given them a look into this game.
Also got to unfortunately criticise a little bit here Haichao and Meteor, who have only pulled off a Vitalia combo once this game successfully, and that's not what you want to see. Maybe at the death of the game they might find something, but Jackie Love has a Zhonya's equivalent and a flash to get out to safety. In Top Esports, they're done playing around. The critical damage was done minutes ago, and LGD are put to the sword, courtesy of Aatrox, who has a massive one to wield, and slap down the bot lane of LGD. The inhibitor turret, the Nexus turrets fall. If I get my nomenclature right, Nexus short fall afterwards. It's a good seismic shove, but that is just a momentary reprieve, and it does not stop the end of the game.
That it does not. We will see Top Esports taking the first map of this. And LGD, you know, they're a team which I have a fair amount of, they have a fair amount of good performances strung between a number of their games so far, but this is not one of them. We'll leave it there for game 1. So thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to be co-stream casting all of these games today and tomorrow, as there is no broadcast on the official LPL stream. No. And I need a drink of water.
Do that. You go first, and then I will trade out.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining in.
pleasure.
And if you enjoy stuff, drop a follow. And
To me
keep
as
coming
well.
back. Yeah. So I've got Sam's Twitch in the thing as well. So
follow.
just do the housekeeping. We're brothers. We're both casting. We're the only brothers who cast in esports as far as we're aware, at least the major ones. I'm an LPL caster right now, so for me it's just kind of like me doing stuff on my off days. Why is there a 40 and 40 option but not 1080p? The Ask Twitch, I have no idea.
Is this for your stream?
I guess so.
Well, just check your outputs.
What do you mean by outputs?
When you check your stream output, I think basically because until you get partner, you can't have variable.
No, once you have
selections.
so once you have